Good evening and welcome to episode 2 of The Box Score. I'm your host, Danielle DuBois. Jackson Tolliver heard the news of Mac Jones moving to Florida and decided to hop the flight with him. So now I'm filling in. It's the busiest time of the year for sports, from college basketball all the way to Formula One. March is truly madness. So let's not waste any more time. The Box Score Season 17, Episode 2 starts right now. The NFL free agency signing period started just a week ago, and we have already seen big moves across the league, such as running backs Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles and Derrick Henry moving to the Ravens. But we aren't here to break down our favorite moves. Instead, we're going to do a new segment we like to call Free Agency Follies, where we debate all the free agency signings that have been the biggest mistakes. So with me, I have NFL experts Vani Hanamirian, Evan Sharrard, Noah Berkowitz, and Nandan Nair. Vani, which free agency move has been the biggest mistake in your eyes?
In my eyes, it was Russell Wilson to the Steelers.
Really?
Which I know is a hot take, but when I heard about that, the first thing I thought was, here we go. And so did he. So, the reason I think this was a bad move is the Steelers really need a new franchise QB. That's what they're going for. And you have Russell Wilson. He is a 35-year-old, 9-time Pro Bowl. He had a great career. He did well. I think that now he would serve better as a backup. Instead, he had a decade with the Seahawks, and now he's on a downward trajectory. So, in my opinion, that was a great move. Oh, no, I must.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. In my opinion, that was not the best move during free agency. I think that they should have signed Justin Fields, which they did, which shocked me. Once I heard about that, I decided that I think that this was a good move. I mean, you have $4.5 million for both of them combined. That is fine. So then I was more okay with the Russell Wilson signing, and I think it was more reasonable, but I still don't agree with the fact that they have Wilson as QB1. I think that they should have Fields as QB1 because that could be your franchise quarterback. You could have someone that comes in and starts and stays for a while. Wilson is 35. He's nearing the end of his peak years, and we can see that with his play. It's significantly gotten worse.
I mean, I don't know if you could say that his play's gotten significantly worse, especially after you look at his numbers from last season.
His numbers were good. However, it wasn't a good time for him in Denver.
It wasn't. And his supporting cast is going to be much better post-draft, I think, after everything is said and done than he had with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton.
Yeah. He did go from being an MVP quality quarterback to a guy that, after the Broncos traded for him, people were saying, "Oh my God, this Broncos team is loaded." People were saying they were a quarterback away, and then all of a sudden here they are.
But I think
now
it exposed
trading
more of the team itself than the actual. I mean, they had a poor O-line. They really were leaky defense, even though they were at times solid. But I think the bigger problem is the fact that, like, you're saying it's a bad signing, but it's a 1-year, $1 million deal for, again, like you said, a 9-time Pro Bowler. I think you can't really get better than that.
And at the end of the day, it's honestly like a low-stakes, high-reward type thing.
Well, it would be really interesting to see how it works out, but we don't have enough time to go more into that. Evan, it's on to you.
Yeah, so I picked Leonard Williams. It's not a signing I hate. He's a great tackle. Plays on the interior for the Seahawks. Played just over half a season there. Played for the Giants for 5 years, then the Jets before that for 5. Had 11.5 sacks with in 2020. He is a great player. The Seahawks were projected to be in the playoffs last year, and they narrowly missed out. And right now, I haven't seen moves that they've made that have really moved the needle for me. And this Leonard Williams re-signing, while it's only 3 years and $64.5 million, which is a lot of money for him. Initially looking at it, I thought, okay, why are they putting all this money in a tackle when they could go get more skill positions? Their salary cap does open up in the next 2 years. But to me right now, I'm not moved by Leonard Williams coming back. It's like, great, you have a guy that's going to stop the run and do a great job on stunts. But, Seattle didn't make a big enough move here for me to go, yeah, great signing. I think it's good that they re-signed him, but overall, not enough for me.
Yeah, I think it's a fair criticism, but that Seattle's going to be a team that's looking into the interior in the draft. Newton from Illinois is one of those big guys that'll be up front as a nose and probably aid Leonard Williams in a real good way, but it's a lateral move, but I think it's one for the Seahawks that ends up paying off in the long run. Again, they're a team that is kind of that one or two player away kind of teams, especially in a weaker division.
Yeah.
So Noah, who did you choose?
I chose, similar to Evan, I think something that makes a little less sense for a team, Tony Pollard to the Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
I think,
Really?
talk about a guy who was really inefficient behind a great offensive line last year. He barely hit 1,000 yards. And the Tennessee Titans already have at least a solid running back in the backfield in Tajay Spears, who put up around 500 yards last season, I believe, on 150 less carries than Tony Pollard did. So that's half the yards, but on 150 less carries. So far more efficient, averaged over 4 a carry. Tony Pollard, for me, just doesn't move the needle for them, especially for a team that's not.
But they moved on from Derrick Henry. They needed to fill him in somehow.
Yeah, but Tajay Spears kind of is the guy, and it's poor asset management to be paying.
You draft a running back at that point.
Exactly. And for a team that is not in win now mode, paying almost $30 million to a running back is not smart asset management.
Especially when you think about it, Pollard and Tajay Spears are both kind of like the same profile of player in the first place.
Yeah, skinny guys, elusive backs.
Pass protectors. So at the end of the day, that doesn't really solve anything for them. And so I agree with you. I think while it might be a solid move, it doesn't really solve any of their problems.
No, I agree.
All right, Nandan, finish it off for us. Who do you choose?
I'm going with Gabe Davis to the Jaguars.
Gabe Davis, okay.
I'm being honest,
Interesting.
I was originally really mad that the Jaguars let Calvin Ridley go in the first place.
Oh, I was too.
And I think that trying to get Gabe Davis just doesn't solve anything, because at the end of the day, this season, in an offense with Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, he was the second highest targeted receiver, and he did not surpass 50 receptions or 850 yards. He has never surpassed 50 receptions and 850 yards in his career, compared to Calvin Ridley, who had a 1K season this year in an off year for him. And even then, Gabe Davis regressed this year compared to last year. He went from, I think, 850 or 836 yards this year to 740. Just a really bad regression. And at the end of the day, I think he's more of a deep pocket catcher, and he's really inconsistent. In his last 9 games, I wrote down here, he had 0 yards, 56, 0, 105, 0, 0, 150, 21, 0. Just no consistency in there. And with the Jaguars offense with Christian Kirk and all of them, it's just really, there is no wide receiver one in that team. And when you have Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence, which quite frankly is the most mediocre QB room I think we have in the NFL, what options do you have? I think, and $39 million a year for him, I think that's just such an overpay.
He's one of those fantasy football merchants that
guys
that love fantasy football or dynasty leagues, they see him put up 30 points one game a year, and they're like, "Hey, Davis is back. He's back." And then
that's exactly why he is.
Trust me, as a supporter of the New York Jets, I've never been scared to face Gabe Davis in an AFC East divisional game.
He's had a solid 2-3 games each season, and that's about it.
And at the end of the day, it just does not solve any of their problems.
He's boom or bust.
Yes.
For a team that went 1-5 in their final games, they need something.
Oof, yeah, I would agree with that. So those were great. Thank you all so much for breaking down some of these free agency signings. I bet there'll be so much more that we can talk about and debrief later on. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're talking all things March Madness. Stay tuned.
All right, come back in 10 seconds. Ready, camera 1. Camera 1, get a wide shot of the entire thing, and in 3, 2, 1, take talent cue.
Welcome back to Emerson College. Emerson
Camera
trails
4 getting a shot of the players coming across the court.
10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point. As
Camera
the
2
team
close on the
finishes
person
their
shooting.
timeout. Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away and score this big one.
Camera 1 getting close to follow them over.
Emerson trails WPI 10 points. 10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point as the team finishes their timeout.
Camera 1 close up on number 33.
Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away.
Follow the ball, follow the ball.
Welcome back to the Box Score. Now it's March and there's no bigger sport right now than college basketball. I'm joined by Kyler, Maira, Nandan Nair, Evan Sharrard, and Noah Berkowitz. Now guys, we love a good Cinderella story in March Madness. So Kyler, let's break down who you think is going to have the biggest Cinderella story in the men's tournament.
Well, it's 3 of my favorite letters. JMU, James Madison University. They're the team that I think can, if they win their first game, which will be a tough game against Wisconsin, if they win that first game, they can go deep into this tournament as a 12 seed. And like, I honestly don't understand how they got ranked so low. Look, they won the Sun Belt. They just won the tournament as a 2 seed in the Sun Belt. They have 31 wins on the season. That is tied for the most out of any team in college basketball. And they have players like Terrence Edwards and TJ Bickerstaff who are averaging almost 20 points a game, and they're doing very solidly defensively. And then they have players who are stepping up and getting into this part of the season, the crunch time, and they're really making an impact. Like Xavier Brown, who averaged 6 points a game per season, not that great, in the final against Arkansas State, put up 21. And they won by 20 points. Like, they dominated the Sun Belt. How they're a 12 seed is beyond me. And that's the only thing. They're going up against that tough Wisconsin team, but once they're past that hurdle, they can go deep into the
So you think it's going to be like an easy road out after Wisconsin for them?
I mean, there's nothing easy about March Madness. There's twists and turns, but I think it's a team that can definitely have the potential to go cruise past teams.
How far do you have them going?
Elite 8.
Elite 8. Okay.
If they beat Wisconsin,
So run.
Yeah, I don't dislike the pick at all.
It's not crazy.
Thank you.
I mean, I could see JMU playing a game against Wisconsin where it's like a 2-point game and a game winner goes in. My only concern with JMU is the strength of competition. They beat an 18 and 15 team to win their championship, winning over 30 games. So it does remain to be seen how they're going to play against elite competition, the best of the best. But yeah, they can fly with the best of them on offense. And I really do like the pick to beat Wisconsin, but it's March, so you don't know. Maybe that 1-5 seed that you think is going to lose ends up winning.
I do like that
That's
pick,
the
though.
thing about March Madness. You just never know. And we're picking Cinderella stories. We're not picking guaranteed.
Yeah.
Need to see them play Charleston in the chip, so they might put up 400 points.
All right, well, Nandan, who do you have?
Yep, I got, out of the West, I got my 3 favorite letters, GCU, Grand Canyon University.
Grand Canyon. Okay.
Yep, they went 29-4 in the Western Athletic Conference, setting a program record in wins.
Yeah.
They won the championship. They have a very solid team right now, and they have a mix of, they have really good defense, experience, and depth. And most of all, they have the power of friendship, which I think, honestly, the way I see it, they really remind me of the Miami Heat, honestly, in the sense that they're not the most strong team, they're not the most biggest team, but what they do have, they're a gritty team. They love to play by putting off teams out of their own tempo, and they thrive at the free throw line.
How far do you have them?
Personally, I think they beat St. Mary's. After that, I could see them making a run to this Elite 8, honestly.
Yeah.
I think honestly, because if they
bold takes here.
if they beat St. Mary's, after that, it's one of, I believe, Bama or Charleston, I think.
Yes.
And honestly, I could see them taking the either.
Yeah.
Of them. I could
That's
see
fair.
that.
Once you get past
right
St.
there
Mary's,
with
it's the hurdle of
It's
St.
the
Mary's.
same
That's the
thing.
hardest.
It's genuinely.
Yeah.
I think I love a good 5-12 upset. And honestly, an interesting stat here is that GCU this season have had over, I think, 25 free throws. St. Mary's have had only 16.9.
And St. Mary's plays slow.
They play a very slow game.
They play really good defense.
And in this game, it's going to be a big mismatch. Their senior
Yes.
guard for GCU, Tyon Foster Grant, I believe, is insane. 19 points per game over, going off. I believe they have a couple other guards. Their guard, Gabe McLaughlin, I think it is, their forward, over, I think, 40% from 3.
Yeah.
He's a deep threat.
It's a-
and honestly, I like this team. I genuinely think I think they can make a deep run. I think if they get past St. Mary's, I think it's all open.
That's the biggest hurdle.
I'm glad you think that. St. Mary's is not going to matter in the first round. It's the same reason why Iowa State is a 2 seed, should have arguably been a 1 seed.
I agree. Yeah.
Iowa State plays the best defense in the entire country.
That's
Right.
true.
I mean, St. Mary's has one of those teams that you look at on paper, are they going to be a good team? Are they going to be an all right team? St. Mary's is killing them in this opening game.
I don't think so.
They're not gonna be
All right.
good. I told
University
you.
are to have a chance, they have to hit
Especially
those
with the
threes.
free throw
and I think
differential.
they will.
Exactly.
Well, we'll
And they're
see.
streaky
We'll see
shooters.
how it
Free
goes.
throw differential could come down to it.
But-
Those 7 free throws.
The offense of GCU is better than St. Mary's.
explosive.
Well, we'll
And
need to
if-
see
if
how
they
that
can't-
offense
Yeah.
and the team morale do for you. But Noah, who's your Cinderella story pick?
I've picked them the past 5 years.
Okay.
And we're not talking about toothpaste when I say this. We're going with Colgate.
Oh, you didn't want to go with Crest instead?
5 straight tourney appearances, 4 straight Patriot League titles.
Yep.
This is a dominant team who shoot the ball well, but this season, apart from other seasons, they have one of the best defenses in the country. Ken Pom loves them, and I think Ken Pom is just like the Bible when it comes to college basketball. They have a top 20 Ken Pom defense, which is pretty much the top 20 is separated by what, 0.01?
There's also 300-something teams.
Exactly. So to be a top 20 is pretty prestigious. And coming out of the Patriot League, these are a bunch of older players. I mean, you've got, but leading the team, though, is Patriot League Player of the Year Braden Smith, averaging only 12-6. But that's a tough 12-6 in a conference that plays consistently good defense. Those are low-scoring contests in each one. And the past 4 tournaments, you see them taking teams like Wisconsin to 1-score games at the very end. This is the year I think they make it to the Sweet 16.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
I mean, you mentioned Braden Smith. He has 53 pointers this season as well. Like,
I mean, they're an
insane.
electric 3-point shooting team. I mean, obviously, they lost a guy like Tucker Richardson this past year, who's now playing in the EuroLeague, and he was their main 3-point shooter. I mean, coming off the bench, he was, as a freshman, was a 6th man of the year, and then I believe he won Patriot League Player of the Year at some point. He will be a tough loss for them with the experience, but they've got good big man depth. They shoot the 3 electric. They're a good free throw shooting team. I like Colgate. I do.
Is Colgate going up against Baylor?
Yes, and I think
Yeah, okay.
Colgate's going up against Baylor.
So you
who
like
is-
Ken Pom, huh?
don't
You know
know
who has
about
the
that.
strongest schedule, the toughest schedule all season?
Baylor.
Baylor.
Yeah, Baylor.
They
does-
play. They know how to play in those
do.
games.
They do.
But
do.
Baylor, I think
I'd be pretty
But
concerned.
Baylor, I think when you match them up to other 3 seeds, are probably the weakest out of the 3
I would agree
seeds.
with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Baylor could have been a 4 or a 5. I think if you swapped a team like Auburn and Baylor, you could have seen this as a 12-5 matchup. I think that Colgate was much lower of a seed than they thought they were going to be, as was Baylor. But I think Baylor definitely could have dropped down to a 4 or a 5.
I think it's going to be really tough for Colgate to beat a team that is one of the better offensive teams and knows how to play tough games against the best teams in the country.
I think it'll be a
Also,
gritty game.
I have to say it.
It'll be a great game.
Oswego pride for Ray J. Dennis, their best player. He was the reason my high school never would go into the state championship.
Yes.
Always beat us.
Yes.
So.
All right, well, Evan, finish us off
Yes.
with the Cinderella stories.
So the SEC and the Big 12, probably the 2 best conferences in college basketball this season, and they're so loaded that Texas A&M lost 14 games, and Texas A&M beat Kentucky twice. They swept them. That's my national championship pick. Kentucky has maybe the best offense in the country.
Really?
They can play defense when they want to.
Rob Dillingham?
Rob Dillingham might be the best player in the country, and he might have been touted like Zion Williamson was if he was 3 inches taller.
Yeah.
But he
He might be the number 1 pick in next year's draft.
He might be. But Texas A&M beat Tennessee, beat Mississippi State, who is also in a good position if they can get back past Michigan State to go on quite a run against the weakest 1 seed against North Carolina. But you know who's first in rebounds in the entire country?
I don't know, Evan.
Per
Please
game?
do tell me.
It's Texas A&M. And they're also first in offensive rebounds. They shoot 40% from the field, which is low. But they are in a side of the bracket where they're going to play a team in the second round if they get through who's pretty good at defense, and when they don't shoot the ball particularly well against better defenses.
Yeah.
Houston struggles against teams that out-rebound them.
they
and
do.
Texas A&M will out-rebound them. How are they going to respond? Texas A&M plays physical basketball. They've beaten Kentucky. They've beaten Tennessee, 2 perennial favorites in the tournament who are, again, favorites. A&M's got a bad man with Wade Taylor IV. That guy can shoot, and he can make shots.
Talk my
88
ear off about Wade
three-pointers.
Taylor. Because
88 3-pointers.
Wade Taylor has scored 32 2 games ago, 30 in the loss to Florida, another really good team ranked 7th in their bracket.
And talk about
that's
a team
going
that
to
got a tough draw. Florida did.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Florida got a tough draw.
Yeah, and Tyrese Radford, their second leading scorer, scored 14 or more in his last 5. And Houston lost 69-41 against Iowa State in the championship. They don't play well against good defenses.
No, they
Texas
don't.
A&M, I think they're going to do the same thing to them, and I think that they will go to the Elite 8, and they could go to the Final 4 if they top Kentucky.
Wow. Final Four.
Wow. And they beat Kentucky twice. There's nothing stopping them besides a Kentucky
Cinderella story.
Yeah, they could do
I
it.
love it.
They absolutely could. And
I
Stephen
love
A.
it.
Smith would say the same thing.
Yes, he would.
I love it. That was the perfect Cinderella story to end off on. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit, though, and talk about the fairy tale ending side of things. So Kyler, who's going to be the champion and have their own fairy tale ending for the women's tournament?
Yeah, well, you didn't even have to say for the women's tournament because it's going to be the same for each tournament.
Whoa.
UConn is
Whoa.
winning both tournaments.
I'm not going to hold.
Okay.
Paige Beckers is outstanding.
Yes.
Everyone
Yes.
agrees with that. That is the least hot take I've ever said on the podcast.
Yes.
They swept the Big East tournament. The closest game they had, they doubled Marquette, 29-58. They have been
Closest
lights
game
out.
they won.
Closest game they won in the tournament, which
Yes.
in conference they're 18-0. They're 25-9 in total. One bad loss on the whole season was South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, it was
Right when they
83 to
had
65.
Two big injuries right beforehand.
Yeah.
Now they've adjusted. They've taken their time. They've figured out with players like Nika Mule, who's leading the team in assists. They are a complete team who are ready to go push through the whole tournament.
I agree. I love you.
I feel like we're just all UConn.
Wait, I
They-
know Evan's been waiting for this one.
I'm a UConn
It's
lover.
a tough part of the bracket.
It is.
That
It
It is
is.
a
There have
brutal
been
side.
people
we were
who
all
said-
like agreeing there.
I like them.
And they are
But
not
they're
the
not-
best team.
they are
UConn
not
is
the best
far
team.
from the
I
best
don't know
team.
about that, though.
They're not the
UConn is
best team.
far from the
They're
best
complete
team.
though. They're very
Very
complete
complete,
team.
but they are
They're
far
very
from the best
complete.
team.
This might be.
Hey,
this
you don't
might
need to be the
be.
best team to win in March, though.
You don't.
No.
Exactly.
But you have to be the best team in March.
Exactly.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
And there are this might be the year where we see the best bracket. Actually, really in both the men's and women's tournaments. There's it's
so wide
tight.
open. It's so
like
wide open.
7 seeds. I'm like, this 7 seed could beat a 1 seed. This 10 seeds. Why are they a 10 seed? Why are they in a play-in game? That's a really tough draw. I was reading an article on The Athletic that didn't take Iowa past the Elite 8.
Yeah.
Really?
Iowa not past
Yeah.
the Elite 8.
That's
Because they're
hard.
in the
That's
toughest
hard.
part of the
That's
bracket.
crazy.
It's not crazy.
That's crazy.
They're in the
That's
toughest part of the bracket.
Just off that
They are.
one
They're
player.
And
the best player in the
UConn,
tournament.
they're going to play the best teams every single game. Can they do it?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they can't, because they can.
Morale at that school is going to be higher than ever before. And it's going to push that team. You've seen it before with the
Basketball
so many
capital.
teams in so many sports. That morale is going to push that team.
Hey, Kyler,
All right.
UConn is going to be UConn. We're going to be waving bye to them. Bye-bye.
You're wrong.
Well, Evan mentioned Iowa, so I'm gonna pass it to Nandan.
Yep.
Who's your
So
choice?
me personally, I don't agree with that. I personally think Iowa's going all the way, and for one reason and one reason only. Caitlin Clark is her.
Yep.
31
Yep.
points per game is ridiculous.
She's
and it's not
insane.
even just Caitlin Clark either. Sophomore forward Hannah Stuelke, if I'm saying that right, 14.6 point per game. Senior guard Kate Martin, 12.9 points a game. They are a very, very complete
The
team.
offense on
they
that
actually,
team.
They lead D1 actually with 92.8 points per game. It's insane the team they have, and honestly, after losing the championship last year, I think they have something in them. I think honestly,
There's certainly motivation.
angry.
They
they're
have
angry.
it. They're angry.
so
They're
angry.
ready
The
for
only issue I see with them is size. I think size could be an issue for them.
Absolutely.
Especially, I think if they come up against, say, like Kansas State in the Elite 8 or in the Final 4, I think they could struggle there, or even like LSU. But honestly,
Better defensive team.
where they're set up for
Iowa-
an Elite 8 rematch, championship rematch in the Elite 8. But honestly, besides the size, I think they're so complete. You know, they
Absolutely.
average only maybe 1.5 turnovers per game. They do not give the ball away. They do not. They take care of the rock.
But
I'm
when they
telling you.
lose, they do turn it over, and they
They
had,
do.
and that's so. Despite how Caitlin Clark might be the best passer I've ever seen play on a college basketball court, period.
Yes.
It's like her and Reed Shepherd, who's playing this
Yeah.
year for Kentucky. Both of them. But Caitlin Clark's she's got more vision. You see her making assists from beyond half court, but sometimes those turn into turnovers because the ball's in the air for too long.
And when it rains, it pours.
And when it rains,
It
it pours.
does.
They turn
I
it
think,
over.
honestly, at the same time though, I think if Caitlin Clark goes off, who's stopping her?
That's
Come on.
Nobody.
Absolutely.
If
Nobody's
Kyle Kuzma
stopping
can play
her.
on the Wizards, I think she can too. Like,
Exactly.
I actually would.
Kyle
I would
Kuzma is
agree.
catching
with you.
a very wild straight.
I'm just saying.
What did Kyle Kuzma do to you?
Hey, man.
Kayla's
It's
just
been
that
rough.
good.
It's been
I mean,
rough.
we talk about how good she is, and obviously there's no debating it, but I just want to drop this stat. 173 three-pointers this year.
Yeah, that's
It's
in
unbelievable.
30
Can we just-
in
what?
30 games.
It's unbelievable.
It's insane.
That's insane. Yeah. She's
unreal.
She's probably the best college basketball player I've ever seen. Not probably.
Honestly,
She's the best
she
college
is.
basketball
She
player
is.
I've
She
ever
may
seen.
be the greatest college athlete
Ever.
Ever.
ever
Arguably
played.
ever.
Exactly.
But she could have her own segment, to be honest.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Breaking
I could
news,
make a whole
box score
thing about
loves
Caitlin.
Caitlin Clark. Well, Noah, who is your Cinderella story? Or
Well,
fairy tale ending, excuse
My
me.
fairy tale ending, we can talk about one woman and one woman only who may have had a better college career over the past 4
not
years
going
than
where I
Caitlin
thought.
Clark. And her name is Cameron Brink.
Okay.
Let me just read off some of this resume. 4-time Pac-12 champ, 2-time Pac-12 Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and the most important one, in 2021, NCAA champion. She is the most well-rounded player in this entire tournament. She's a bona fide top 3 pick in the WNBA draft coming up this year.
Yes.
Cameron Brink is going to be the difference maker and the one that you write home about at the end of this women's tournament. Cameron Brink is her. She's got the size, the athleticism, the rebounding prowess, the vision. Cameron Brink is her. If you want to talk about Caitlin Clark being her, you need to watch some Cameron Brink and Stanford basketball.
Whoa.
That is that is a hot take.
Love me some Cameron Brink, but ooh.
No, I'm like, if you liked watching Breonna Stewart when she played in college, you will absolutely adore watching a Cameron Brink.
But have we ever seen Caitlin Clark before?
No, I'm not saying they're the same player. I'm arguing that the resume over the past 4 years
is better.
And it's not relatively close, especially
Yeah.
with the championship under her belt. And the championship pedigree in March does matter. Experience matters.
So
I hate to break it to you, Noah, though. Resumes don't win you championships. Teams
What is the rest of Stanford? What do you
the
like
rest
about
Stanford
the
is
rest of
Stanford, great rebounding team,
Yes.
led by Cameron Brink.
Yes.
Great free throw shooting team, led by Cameron Brink. She's the leader of that offense and the leader of that defense. She's a scary person to go up against. I wouldn't want to go on a jump ball against
gosh,
Cameron
no.
Brink.
No.
God, no.
She's her. I mean, she's a manimal. A woman-animal. She's like the Kenneth Farid of college basketball.
4 rebounds in a row.
4 rebounds in a
rebounds in a
row,
row.
and then she goes to the offensive glass and gets another 8. She's just tipping them up to themselves, and then she kicks it out for a 3 to herself. I mean, she's dominant.
Stanford,
Yes, sir.
I really can't pick an argument with you. I really like Stanford too.
Yeah, Stanford's a good team.
But I do have one team, as Danielle throws it over here, that I think, I mean, call me taking the easy way out here. South Carolina, one of the best. Yeah, okay.
Evan, what a hot
That's
take.
a great
They are.
like that.
They are.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're 32-0. They play in the SEC. They have 7 wins, 7-0 because they're undefeated against the top 25 this season. 83-65 win versus UConn. Granted, an injured UConn team, an injured UConn team. I'll give it to you. They have 3 players averaging over 10. Camila Cardoso, Malaysia Fulwiley, my goodness, and Tahine Pau Pau, which, I mean, it's
That's a Hall of Fame name.
That's a great name.
Yes, Hall of
Great
Fame name. First,
Hall of Fame.
yes. 3 players over 10 points, 3 players within 0.8 or less of 10 points as well.
Yes.
Yeah, they shoot the ball. Best field goal percentage against in the country, which means they play great defense. They're in the top 4 in rebounding per game and points per game. It's a really, really good recipe. And they had faced adversity. They almost lost to Tennessee. A lot of people were complaining about the wide open 3. She hadn't made a single one all season.
In her entire career, she
Yes,
never
which
made
is
a 3.
and which is why they left her open.
It wasn't bad defense.
Yeah,
only have
you're gonna leave DeAndre Jordan wide open for 3 if it's.
I mean,
for the
you're
game.
going to leave DeAndre Jordan wide open from the free throw.
So you're gonna so you will leave that shot open.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're tried and true. They're tested. They are in a really tough portion of the bracket.
They are.
But who's tougher than them?
They have the experience.
The question I have for you, Evan, though, is they had the exact same run last year.
Yeah.
And they got knocked out. And they lost 5 of their starters, including #1 pick Aaliyah Boston. They have a completely new starting 5 this year. What's different this year? Do you think they have the experience?
What's different is they have really good players again.
And it's the same once again.
They have really good players again, and have the coaching staff that's done this before. They have depth. They have incredible depth. So
they are by far the deepest team.
They are.
Yes.
100%.
And experience only matters so much, especially in March Madness when we have a 1 seed going out to a 16 seed. Purdue loses last year in the men's tournament with great experience to FDU, who who's ever heard of anybody here? Yeah, FDU, believe it.
Hey, put some respect on Jersey.
Absolutely. Back-to-back
with
with St. Peter's.
Watch out for them.
Well, I'm excited to see how all your picks end up working out, but we're going to change gears over to the NBA currently because we have a package from Briggs Loveland and Everest Leach as they went down and interviewed Celtics fans before game. Guys?
Box Score X TD Garden is back here, baby. We're catching the Warriors-Celtics game. Pre-game, we're asking Jason Tatum questions. Happy birthday, by the way, Jason Tatum. We're asking some Celtics trivia. You know what it is. We're back, baby.
Jason Tatum versus X in a fight. I'm going to tell you Jason Tatum versus something in a cage match, in a street fight. You got to tell me who you're taking. Jason Tatum versus a kangaroo.
Jason Tatum. He's like, what, 6'9"?
Yeah, that's true. He's going to be tall.
Jason Tatum.
Yeah. Oh no, kangaroos are known. Yeah, I'm taking Jason Tatum on that too.
All right, 1-0. Jason Tatum's 1-0.
Elon Musk versus Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum.
Oh, that's a no question, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum again.
Jason Tatum.
Yeah, sure. All right.
He's got the brains, but he don't got the muscle.
Oh, no,
All right.
Might be like a lizard or something, actually. So who knows?
Some Warriors Celtics. Jason Tatum versus Draymond Green.
Oh my gosh, this is a good question. Jason Tatum again.
Jason Tatum,
Yeah,
3-0.
sure. Yeah.
3-0, go Celtics.
I don't know, Draymond's got some fighting experience on the court, I might have to take Draymond on that
All
one.
right, he's taking Draymond.
What about you two, both of you guys against Tatum?
Oh, I'm taking me all day.
Yeah, I've known this kid since kindergarten, so like I think we would be able to tag team him and take him down.
Some Celtics trivia for them. So let's start off easy. How many NBA championships have the Celtics won? You got
17.
it. 17, that's correct. Who won Finals MVP the last time the Celtics won it all?
Paul Pierce.
Yes, sir. He's cooking. He's cooking.
Can you say one nice thing to us about the Celtics? Just one nice thing.
I do love Jason Tatum.
All right, there you go. That's one nice thing.
Who is the Celtics' all-time leading scorer?
You know this one?
John Havlicek.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Say one nice thing about the Boston Celtics. Just one nice thing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Oh, no.
What Celtic had the nickname the Chief? It's an older guy.
I got it.
Yeah.
Robert Parrish.
Look at that. They nailed them all.
So you have a chance to say one nice thing about the Warriors.
Great players.
She said something nice for you, like.
Jason's kid is cool.
All right, that's
Jason's
something.
kid is cool.
That's something. All right.
Celtics in the midst of another great season, best record in the NBA. Do you think they have what it takes to finally win it all this year?
Of course. I mean, obviously, like, Jokic is going to be a problem in the West, but I think this Celtics team this year definitely has a chance to overtake him with Porzingis, even though he's not playing tonight. I think that with the addition with Porzingis and Drew Holiday, definitely able to go over the edge.
Coming up, we are going to hand out some hardware in the NHL. You won't want to miss it.
Black Beatles in the city, be back immediately to confiscate the monies. Right scrum. Wow. My world. You sent flowers, but you said you didn't receive. But you said you didn't need them. That girl is a real crowd, please. Small world, all her friends know of me. Young bull living like an old geese. Quick release the cash, watch it fall slowly. Frat girl still trying to get in. Haters mad for whatever reason. Smoke in the air, binge drinking. They lose it when the DJ drops the knee. Getting so gone, I'm not blinking. What in the world was I thinking? New day, new money to be made. There is nothing to explain.
So yeah, it's like Emerson's very own late night talk show. We've got games like Jimmy Fallon, and we're hot like Jimmy Kimmel, and we've got guests. I'm going to talk to them. You can talk too, I guess. There's a live studio audience, and they're just going to laugh at everything we say, and it's going to be awesome. It's just this never-ending cycle of positivity and community and late-night content. I'm going to wear a suit. You should probably wear one too. What do you think?
I think you should drink up, because it's closing time.
We're back and we have some awards to give out. There's just 1 month left in the NHL regular season, and with the season quickly wrapping up, we thought it would be appropriate to hand out some awards. To break down these awards, I have with me River Caraballo, Maira, and Evan Sharrard. Now, River, the Hart Trophy goes to the most valuable player each season, so who is your pick?
All right, Joe, when I think MVP, I think none other than Sam Reinhart.
Whoa. Wow.
Hart is
I love it.
in his name.
That's bold.
Hart is literally in his name. And talk about a breakout, talk about a surprise with 48 goals in 68 games played. Guys, he is on fire, leading the team, leading the Florida Panthers in goals, second most in the NHL in goals. You wouldn't think. You would think
No.
Austin Matthews,
Pass first.
McKinnon.
Yeah.
You would think, like, oh my gosh.
Anybody else but him.
Anybody else. I think he is the perfect candidate for MVP for the Hart Trophy because you don't see something like this every year. You see, you see the top three, the biggest names, but you don't see someone like Sam Reinhart just having an absolutely insane season with on that line with Tkachuk and Barkov. Electric stuff. Electric stuff, guys. 27 of his goals, of those 48, are power play goals, leading the league in power play goals. He is the second player in the NHL to have 25 plus power play goals and 5 shorthanded goals since Mario Lemieux in '88.
Wow.
Big name, is so deserving of this Hart Trophy. I fully believe that.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
My slight issue with that is as a center, maybe we'd want a couple more assists. 31, that's 79th in the league.
But the 48 goals is kind of outweighing that at that point.
Goals balances it out, but let's take that 31, let's double it, and let's add 11 more. And now I know Emerson's not.
Oh boy, here we go.
But something's not adding up, right? Because that's still below Nathan McKinnon. That's
perfect.
As a center who's perfectly, they're supposed to be the one dishing it. Like, yeah, 48 goals, that's fantastic, don't get me wrong. But the 31 assists on only 79 points, I don't know if it's enough for me.
My one thing I'll throw your way, Kyler, is Florida going to be near the top of the East, the 2 or the 1, without Sam Reinhart's production? Because Colorado has Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar, great offense, great defense. Florida, I mean, they have Tkachuk and they went to the Stanley Cup
final.
Albeit they were the lowest seed in the entire playoff.
But they proved that they're capable of that type of run. And
That's
so
true.
I don't think he's that important.
So Kyler, we got a little bit of a sneak peek there who your choice is, but
A little taste. I did go with Nathan McKinnon on a star-packed Avs. But look, all it takes is a couple Google searches. Which NHL player has the most points this season? Nathan McKinnon. And what team has the most goals? The Colorado Avalanche. And that's because of Nathan McKinnon this year. As a center, that's 74. That's a lot higher than 31.
Insane.
And he's scoring goals. He's assisting goals. He's attributed for 46.5% of the Avalanche's goals this season. So
unreal.
It's basically a coin flip whether or not he was, if they scored, whether or not he was involved. And what I'm saying is, Sam Reinhart, that's just 35%. That's not high enough. That's not as valuable as a player like Nathan McKinnon, which is why Nathan McKinnon deserves it.
I will argue, though, that even though Nathan McKinnon has all these points and all these goals, Kucherov and McKinnon have 42 and 40 goals. Sam Reinhart has 48. So
just let's
talk about how McKinnon is in 4th place in leading the league in goals, while Reinhart is 2nd. So
McKinnon does lead in points though for the NHL. So
4th in goals, 2nd in assists. Reinhart is
who's
2nd
number
in
1?
goals, 79.
You know who's number 1 in assists?
Tell me, Evan. Tell me.
It's the best player in the entire league.
And who's that?
It's Connor McDavid.
Oh, so Evan, who'd you choose?
Oh, I chose Connor McDavid. He's right there. Unbelievable.
Wow.
He knows something about this. He knows something about this trophy. He's done this before. But he does deserve it again. I don't care about voter fatigue. 81 assists, 25 goals, 106 points, 3rd in the NHL. Okay, great. The points, they don't add up to Nathan McKinnon's, and you made a really strong argument. Over 45% of the goals that he assisted on, that's insane.
That is insane.
Connor McDavid, you take him away from Edmonton. Similar argument I made with Sam Reinhart there. Their next best player is, at one point, like, if Connor McDavid didn't exist, we would be talking about Leon Draisaitl the same way. Because they had 2 crazy seasons together, both over 115 points at one point. Not this year, but without McDavid, it's Draisaitl and then Zach Hyman, which Zach Hyman before this year was a second line, third line guy. Now he's got 65 points and is third in the team. I think it's probably because of Connor McDavid and those 81 assists. He really lifts his teammates up. He scores goals nobody else can. Connor McDavid does deserve it. Nathan McKinnon's a great argument too.
It's really hard to debate against McDavid. I mean, but McKinnon with those points in the year that he's having is it's something else.
You gotta remember, this is a word people vote for, and there's voter fatigue with Connor McDavid.
Yeah. Right, we've seen it before. It's old news at this point.
Voting for that, but it is a reason why he could not win the Hart Trophy.
Right. I mean, it's McKinnon's time to shine. I feel like when we talk about the Avalanche, it's always McKinnon and Cale Makar. Like those are the 2 big names, and I mean, as it should be. I mean, it's incredible the dynamics that they have on this team. One quick question I want to throw out here, though. Austin Matthews. No love?
Yeah.
No love?
Well, he might score 70 goals. He deserves love.
Yeah.
We should talk about it.
Yeah, and I feel like I would argue that Matthews and McDavid, I feel like McDavid is carrying a team right now.
Yes.
And is that really enough to win a trophy when the team behind him isn't really producing anything?
Most valuable.
If he
you take him away.
Like, if he really stands out, how much is he really standing out? And then, like, I agree. I do agree he is standing out a lot. But Austin Matthews, like, he's everywhere. Every time he's on the ice, I get so scared. I get so scared for my Rangers. Like, he's always scoring goals. He has a hat trick like every other night. And I'm just...
His first game of his career, he scored 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know, big contender there as well.
He could score 70 this year.
I agree.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out and see. We're going to take one last break, but stay tuned for some racing analysis.
Black Beatles in the city, be back immediately to confiscate the monies. Right scrum. Wow. My will. You sent flowers, but you said you didn't receive. But you said you didn't need them. That girl is a real crowd, please. Small world, all her friends know of me. Young bull living like an old geese. Quick release the cash, watch it fall slowly. Frat girl still trying to get in. Haters mad for whatever reason. Smoke in the air, binge drinking. They lose it when the DJ drops the knee. Getting so gone, I'm not blinking. What in the world was I thinking? New day, new money to be made. There is nothing to explain.
Welcome back to the Box Score. Now we're about to make some history and hold our first ever Formula One debate. Formula One is going to endure some major driver changes before the 2025 season. With 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton moving to Ferrari next year, the big question is who fills that legendary seat. Noah Berkowitz, Maira, and Nandan Nair are going to act as team principal and try to help me fill the Mercedes seat. Noah, if you're Toto Wolff, who are you choosing?
If I'm Toto Wolff, I'm stealing from the Red Bull Academy, and I'm going bold. I'm going with Liam Lawson.
I like it. I like it.
Liam Lawson.
This guy.
This guy.
That guy.
Yeah, like former Formula 2 guy, now the Red Bull reserve driver. Drove for AlphaTauri last year, got points last year after filling in. That guy. He's only 22. From the Red Bull farm. If Toto wants to make a splash, which he said, quoted, saying that he wants to be bold, that's the way to do it.
See, I don't know,
That
but
is risky. That is
very
risky.
It is. It's
He
very
has so
risky.
little experience in F1.
barely any experience.
Yeah, all of his experience in the AlphaTauri, he was dragging that car, dragging it. Especially in the Singapore Grand Prix last season when he came in 9th, that's a tough Grand Prix for any driver. They all come out ready to pass out. Getting points out of that is no easy feat.
But at the same time, if you want it to be bold, I feel like Mercedes, why wouldn't they just go with Kimi Antonelli out of their own academy?
Well, I think if
you look at him, he's doing really good in go-karting. He's really good in F4. They're actually bumping him straight up to F2, not even F3.
And he knows the Mercedes system already.
Yes, but if they wanted to breed him for the eventual seat, I feel like the way to do that would be bringing him into the Williams. Obviously, I think we can all agree that Logan Sargent will not be back to Williams come next season.
It's a safe bet.
I think Kimi Antonelli he's only 18. He's got lots of time to grow. And we know he's not a Max Verstappen. Give him the time in F2. Give him the time at the Williams seat. Liam Lawson is proven to have really good race pace.
I mean, I like it. It is a very daring thing.
It's daring,
like,
and you're stealing one of the prodigies away from Helmut Marko, which I love.
But I think with the stacked free agency field that's there right now, with the people that are available, I don't know if this is the time to go bold.
Also, I love George Russell, but is he ready to be that #1 driver though?
Absolutely.
To lead the team?
I think he was the number one. He was the #1 driver with Williams the entire start of his career. As soon as he came into F1,
And I feel like the thing is, I feel like he would want to now. I feel like now that Hamilton's out, I feel like he's going to be that #1. So the more the question is, who's going to go best with Russell now?
Yes,
I think that's the bigger.
100%.
Okay. So, Kyler, who do you have filling in this seat?
Look, I think that's a little ambitious, and Liam Lawson just doesn't have enough experience. But I like that you're going bold, so I'm going to go bold as well. With someone who has 27 times as many points as his teammate did last year. That's Alex Albon. Look, he's
it wasn't hard to do.
Williams #1 right now. It's not that hard to do in that Logan Sargent's not scoring a lot, but it's hard to score points in a Williams.
It is.
And he did. He got 27. That was above any of the, at the time, AlphaTauri drivers. Liam Lawson was driving in any of those guys, and he's not a bad driver
Granted, that
at all.
car was much better than the AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's spill it out. It's going to be Stroll out at Aston Martin, right? Filling that seat is Perez, because Stroll has to get out of F1.
Yes.
Not good.
Yes.
Carlos Sainz will go to the Red Bull spot.
Ooh.
And then Alexander Albon will take that free spot at Mercedes, and filling in for him will be the Liam Lawson thing that you want. I think Mercedes are no longer a dominant, legendary team. They have just, in their last 14 races, there have been just 3 podiums for Mercedes. That's 5 less than McLaren, who are these up-and-coming guys who used to be fantastic, but they've really dropped on the totem pole, and I don't think that they can have someone like Carlos Sainz, someone like Sergio Perez come to that team when really all they really can get is Alexander Albon.
My only issue with that, though, is, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't this contract expire at the end of 2025?
It's true, but the drivers can switch often at any point.
We've seen it happen.
Yeah, contracts mean nothing. We know, but after everything that happened with Oscar Piastri, contracts don't mean anything.
That's true.
I mean, for all we know, we could just send out a tweet right now, and Alex Albon could be on this team.
Here's my problem.
No, you go ahead.
No, my problem is, what if Fernando Alonso leaves Aston Martin? Then you have a perfect fit for Alexander Albon, 2 open seats in the Aston Martin.
But you could say the same thing about Liam Lawson going to Aston Martin. I think that Williams has that connection with Mercedes. Look, they cut off ties, but George Russell went, and he's been very successful. He's been better than Hamilton these most recent races. I think that the Williams to Mercedes link will prove, and Alexander Albon will go there.
You know, Kyler, on that note, though, you mentioned how Mercedes isn't really that dominant force anymore. I actually had a thought. I wonder if maybe Albon is more tempted by the Red Bull spot, because
I'm sure
honestly,
he is, but I'm not sure that Red Bull is tempted by him.
Well, I don't know, though.
He does know. He knows the Red Bull system already.
He knows the Red Bull system, and along with that, he's 27 right now. He's going on 28. If he wants to be associated as a title contender and not just another up-and-coming story, I feel like the Red Bull route would probably be the best route. And again, because he knows the system, I don't know.
But again, the problem with that is you've seen Albon next to Verstappen in the Red Bull seat, and granted, it was his rookie year, but he got dominated to the point that they demoted him right away. And I don't know, really, does Albon want Red Bull? I mean, and you know Pierre Gasly doesn't want it anymore.
Oh gosh, no.
He's got to get a new
Emperor's new groove.
Is at Mercedes.
All right, well, Nandan, who are you choosing to fill the seat?
Yep, I'm going with the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race last year. I'm going with Carlos Sainz. I feel like he's the most obvious choice here. Quite frankly, when Lewis Hamilton leaves, I feel like the one thing that Mercedes are missing now is someone with commercial value. They've already lost a lot of sponsorships. Notably, they lost Monster, which is a big one that they had forever.
That's a huge one.
And quite frankly, if there is anyone that can bring in that character, that caliber to bring in those sponsorships back, I feel like it's Carlos Sainz. I feel like he's that one guy. And also, at the same time, I feel like what we said about how Mercedes is not the most dominant power, I think that gives the perfect environment for Sainz. I know there's a lot of debate about how has he really been performing that well? Is he underwhelmed? There's a lot of talk about.
He's been great.
And so,
So why would he want to go to Mercedes?
I think he would want to go to Mercedes mainly because I feel like that gives him the outlet. I feel like that makes him. I feel like him and George Russell, firstly, would be a great two-driver lineup.
I like it.
And also, I feel like, as I said before, with that low pressure that comes with not being as big of a power, I feel like that's the kind of environment he needs right now to really step up and be that number one. I feel like that kind of suits him best. And I don't know. I think if you just look at the drivers that are out there, I feel like he is probably the highest profile free agent right now, especially because he's. I mean, I feel like he has a fire under him, honestly. I mean, look at how Ferrari just kind of.
Just let him go. I mean, and he's been so, I mean, I really like Sainz. The way that he drives, and I think it's not even in the car, it's really his mindset. Like, he, in his mind, plans out his driving so well. He's very gritty, and I really like him. I mean, Leclerc, I mean, I love him too, but like that lineup in Ferrari was so good. So when I saw that Sainz was just released and they put in Lewis, I mean, obviously Lewis Hamilton is great, like, yes, but losing Sainz, and now the Sainz has that power and that fire under him, like you said, he could be really dangerous in that Mercedes car.
But here's the problem, though. Does Sainz want to play second fiddle to George Russell? I mean, he has a problem playing second fiddle to Charles Leclerc right now.
I don't know if he would.
And so
I don't know if
I think that
but
the
then
two options are he goes to Aston Martin and links up with Fernando Alonso, and wow, what a Spanish connection that was.
Incredible driver lineup, by the way.
Or he pushes and he wants to go and chase for the title, and he goes to Red Bull. I think that Mercedes is just this weird middle ground that doesn't seem right for him.
I think that Mercedes is probably the weakest link for Sainz. He's got different options across the grid that probably suit him better, suit his ambitions better. I mean, obviously everyone wants to race for Red Bull next season. That's going to be the premier seat. Everyone wants to challenge Max regardless of whether you think the car is made for him or not.
Okay, I gotta ask you guys. Don't get mad at me. Nobody mentioned Max Verstappen leaving Red Bull to Mercedes. Is it happening? What do you guys think?
I sure hope not, because
really,
for him,
it would have been fun.
It would be so fun.
As an F1 fan, please.
And also,
but as a Max Verstappen, if I was in his head, I would never want to do that.
No,
honestly,
you're leaving the best car
Listen,
ever.
actually, on that topic, I wonder though. I feel like maybe in 2 or 3 years, I could see him leaving. Honestly, because
it would be interesting.
He's a competitor at the end of the day, and obviously, yes, he has the best car. He has the potential to build up a real big dynasty, be one of the greatest of all time. But at the same time, part of me wonders, with how competitive he is. I would not be surprised if he went to Mercedes, honestly.
It would be fun to see him prove himself outside of the Red Bull car.
Yes,
we all know he is a great driver.
I think he goes wherever Helmut Marko goes. If Helmut Marko was sacked at the beginning of the season, you would have known that he was gone. His father, Jos Verstappen, has already talked about wherever Helmut Marko goes, my son goes.
If Jos isn't happy, then Max needs to leave.
Exactly.
That's pretty
and at the
much
end of the day, I mean, unfortunately, you see all this turmoil going on with the things surrounding Christian Horner right now, all the turmoil in the Red Bull organization. I mean, does Max want to be a part of that?
Good question.
Well, Toto Wolff, or anyone from Mercedes watching this, we gave you some very valuable advice for next season. That is unfortunately all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2 of The Box Score. I want to give a huge shout out to my loving parents, Michael and Donna DuBois, who inspire me every day to pursue my dreams. And a huge thank you to all the amazing Box Score hosts who came before me and have taught me so much about broadcasting. For Vani Hanamirian, Evan Sharrard, Noah Berkowitz, Nandan Nair, Kyler Maira, and River Caraballo, this has been The Box Score with Danielle DuBois.
No, why did you do it?